Welcome to Educare. Our today's topic is rollover relief. It allows gain arising on the sale of qualifying business asset to be rollover when the sale proceed is reinvested in replacement qualified asset. कि आपके पास एक एसेट को सेल करने से जो गेन हासिल हुआ, क्वालिफाइंग बिजनेस एसेट को सेल करने से जो गेन हासिल हुआ, इट कैन बी रोल ओवर, इट कैन बी पोस्टपोन व्हेन द सेल प्रोसीड इज री इन्वेस्टेड, कि आपने जो भी पैसे हासिल किए थे सेल करने से वो री इन्वेस्ट कर दिए हैं इन परचेजिंग इन रिप्लेसमेंट ऑफ क्वालिफाइड एसेट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आपने 50,000 की वैल्यू का एसेट 60,000 में सेल किया, उससे आपको गेन हासिल हुआ 10,000 का. अब अगर आप 60,000 जो आपने सेल प्रोसीड हासिल की है, ये 60,000 की सेल प्रोसीड या इससे ज़्यादा रकम री इन्वेस्ट कर देते हैं ऑन द परचेज ऑफ रिप्लेसमेंट क्वालिफाइड एसेट, तो आपका जो 10,000 का ओरिजिनल गेन है वो पोस्टपोन हो जाएगा, रोल ओवर हो जाएगा, और इसी को रोल ओवर रिलीफ कहा जाएगा. An important point is that this gain may be rollover a number of times. नंबर ऑफ टाइम आप इसे रोल ओवर कर सकते हैं. यानी पहला एसेट सेल करने से जो आपको सेल प्रोसीड हासिल हुई वो आपने री इन्वेस्ट कर दी, तो गेन आपका पोस्टपोन हो सकता है. फिर सेकेंड एसेट सेल करने से अगेन जो सेल प्रोसीड हासिल की वो भी अगर री इन्वेस्ट कर दी जाए किसी क्वालिफाइंग बिजनेस एसेट को परचेज करने के लिए, तो अगेन आपका गेन रोल ओवर हो सकता है. सो दिस गेन मे बी रोल ओवर अ नंबर ऑफ टाइम्स. अब इसके लिए क्लेम कब किया जा सकता है? इट मस्ट बी मेड विद इन 4 years ऑफ लेटर ऑफ द एंड ऑफ टैक्स ईयर इन विच द डिस्पोजल इज मेड और रिप्लेसमेंट एसेट इज एक्वायर्ड. तो आपके पास क्लेम आपके पास 4 साल के अंदर आप कर सकते हैं लेटर ऑफ एंड ऑफ टैक्स ईयर के लिए. लेटर ऑफ एंड ऑफ टैक्स ईयर के विच टैक्स ईयर इन विच डिस्पोजल इज मेड और रिप्लेसमेंट एसेट इज एक्वायर्ड. इट इज़ नॉट नेसेसरी कि डिस्पोजल जिस साल आपने किया उसी साल आपने रिप्लेसमेंट एसेट एक्वायर किया हो. तो इन दोनों में से जो भी आपके पास लेटर आता है उसके 4 साल के अंदर आप क्लेम कर सकते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर आपने डिस्पोजल किया है 22-23 में, तो उसका क्लेम 5 अप्रैल 28 तक किया जा सकता है. इफ़ यू हैव मेड डिस्पोजल इन द टैक्स ईयर 22-23, द क्लेम कैन बी मेड बाय 5 अप्रैल 28. Now consider a question. Ali purchased an asset qualifying for ROR. ROR means rollover relief in June 2007 for 1,30,000. 1,30,000 का उसने asset purchase किया. In May 2022, she sold the asset for 1,60,000. उसने 1,60,000 का asset को sale कर दिया and spent 1,80,000 in September 2022 ऑन अ न्यू क्वालिफाइंग एसेट. और 1,80,000 की इसने अमाउंट स्पेंड की इन सितंबर 2022 में ऑन अ न्यू क्वालिफाइंग एसेट. यू आर रिक्वायर्ड टू कैलकुलेट चार्जेबल गेन अराइजिंग ऑन द डिस्पोजल ऑफ द एसेट एज्यूमिंग दैट ROR इज क्लेम्ड. सो फर्स्ट हम सबसे पहले ये बात कंसिडर करते हैं कि उसको कितना गेन हासिल हुआ था. सो 1,60,000 की आपके पास सेल प्रोसीड मेंशन की गई है. दिस इज सेड टू बी डिस्पोजल प्रोसीड. और इसे कंपेयर करेंगे ओरिजिनल कॉस्ट से. अलाउेबल कॉस्ट आपके पास मेंशन है कि ये एसेट ओरिजिनली 1,30,000 का परचेज किया गया था. सो ये 30,000 का गेन है. बट हमने कितनी सेल प्रोसीड हासिल की थी? वी हैव एक्वायर्ड 1,60,000 एंड स्पेंट 1,80,000. It means whatever we have received on the disposal of first asset, we have reinvested that amount, or Ali has reinvested that amount on the purchase of new qualifying asset. So चूँकि उसने सारी अमाउंट री इन्वेस्ट कर दी है, so that is why ये गेन डेफर हो जाएगा, इस पे रोल ओवर रिलीफ मिल जाएगा. Means there is nothing to be chargeable for that person, Ali. सेकेंड रिक्वायरमेंट आपसे कही गई है कैलकुलेट द बेस कॉस्ट. बेस कॉस्ट कैलकुलेट करने के लिए व्हाट यू हैव टू डू, जो न्यू एसेट की कॉस्ट है 1,80,000, उसमें से प्रीवियस एसेट का जो गेन जिस पे रोल ओवर मिला है वो रोल ओवर रिलीफ आप लेस कर देते हैं, सो विल गेट द बेस कॉस्ट. हाउ टू गेट द बेस कॉस्ट? न्यू एसेट्स कॉस्ट में से प्रीवियस एसेट जो आपने सेल किया है उसका गेन अगर आप सब्ट्रैक्ट कर दें तो यू विल गेट द बेस कॉस्ट ऑफ न्यू एसेट एंड दैट इज 1,50,000. What is mean by qualifying business asset? क्या आपके पास हो सकते हैं qualifying business asset? It can be goodwill, land and building, fixed plant and machinery. But remember that both the old and replacement asset must be qualifying business asset. Both the old and replacement asset must be qualifying business asset. Now, what is mean by qualifying time period? Qualifying time period का क्या मतलब है? What is mean by that? Qualifying time period. Qualifying time period means कि replacement asset आप कितने जो आप replace कर रहे हैं asset वो किस time period के अंदर purchase किया जाए तो वो period आपका qualifying time period consider किया जाता है. Qualifying time period means the period in which the new replacement asset has been acquired. So they are mentioning that replacement asset must be acquired within 1 year before and 3 years after the date of sale of old asset. 1 year before and 3 years after. तो let's say for example अगर आपके पास एक एसेट आप सेल कर रहे हैं ऑन 1 May 21 को, 1 May 21 को आप एक एसेट सेल कर रहे हैं तो इसके लिए क्वालिफाइंग टाइम पीरियड क्या होगा? What will be the qualifying time period for an asset which was sold on 1 May 21? It is from 1 May 20 to 1 May 24. So this is the time period which is said to be qualifying time period for the asset which was sold on 1 May 21. Now another example, Max purchased a warehouse in January 11 for 1,60,000. In June 22 he sold the warehouse for 2,80,000, means उसने gain हासिल किया 1,20,000 का. He used the warehouse for the purpose of her trade throughout the period of ownership. In December 2024, Max bought a new warehouse for 3,30,000 for the purpose of her trade. He planned to sell the warehouse in January 26 for 5,30,000. Calculate the chargeable gain arising on the sale of on the two sales, assuming rollover relief is claimed. So first we have to consider the date of sale of first asset and that is June 22. अगर ये एसेट जून 22 में सेल किया गया है तो इसके लिए क्वालिफाइंग पीरियड क्या होगा? जून 21 से लेकर जून 25 तक का पीरियड. दिस इज सेड टू बी क्वालिफाइंग पीरियड कि नया एसेट, इफ द न्यू एसेट हैज बीन परचेज्ड बिटवीन दिस पीरियड then it is said to be purchased in the qualifying time period and entitled for the rollover relief. So हमने एसेट परचेज किया दिसंबर 24 में. सो दिसंबर 24 की डेट इन डेट्स के दरमियान आती है. सो इस वजह से ये क्वालिफाइंग टाइम पीरियड के दरमियान पे किया गया है, परचेज किया गया है. सो entitled for the rollover relief. Again, first you have to consider that what is the date of disposal of first asset. It is mentioned as June 22. If it is June 22, we have to identify what is the qualifying time period. Qualifying time period is 1 year before, 3 years after. So June 22 से एक साल पहले June 21 and June 22 से एक साल बाद 3 साल बाद June 25. This is the qualifying time period. यानी इन डेट्स के दरमियान अगर एसेट परचेज किया जाए तो वो इंटाइटल है रोल ओवर रिलीफ का. वी हैव परचेज एन एसेट on December 24. So the date of December 24 lies between these two dates. इन दो dates के दरमियान lie करती है. So that we can say that this asset qualify for the rollover relief, right? Now first we have to calculate the gain. Gain is mentioned as sale proceed on first asset. This is 2,80,000. जो पहला asset था हमने 2,80,000 का सेल किया था और इसकी ओरिजिनल कॉस्ट क्या थी या अलाउएबल कॉस्ट, दैट इज मेंशन एज 1,60,000. सो जो गेन हासिल हुआ दैट इज 1,20,000. Now consider, have you spent the whole amount of sale proceed for the purchase of new asset? So we have a sale proceed of 2,80,000 and we have sold that asset for 3 lakh, we have purchased new asset for 3,30,000. It means whatever is the disposal proceed, we have reinvested. We have reinvested all the sale proceed for the acquisition of new asset. So all this asset of 1,20,000 entitled for rollover relief. And nothing is chargeable gain for the sale of first asset. Now you need to consider what is the base cost. What is the base cost of first asset? Acquired asset. That is 3,30,000. 3,30,000 is said to be purchase price. डिडक्ट कर दें इसमें से 1,20,000 का रोल ओवर रिलीफ, सो यू विल गेट अ बेस कॉस्ट ऑफ 2,10,000. हाउ टू कैलकुलेट द बेस कॉस्ट? इसके लिए न्यू एसेट की प्राइस में से रोल ओवर रिलीफ लेस कर दिया जाता है. फ्रॉम द कॉस्ट ऑफ न्यू एसेट इफ वी डिडक्ट रोल ओवर रिलीफ विल गेट द बेस कॉस्ट. सो बेस कॉस्ट आ गई हमारे पास 2,10,000. And subsequently we are going to sell this asset in January 26 for 5,30,000. So अगर subsequently second sale जो हमारे पास हो रही है वो January 26 में हो रही है, और अगर हम January 26 में सेल प्रोसीड हासिल कर रहे हैं 5,30,000 की, so remember that this sale proceed would not be compared with the original cost of 3,30,000. It will not be compared with the original cost of 3,30,000. Instead, it will be compared with the base cost. So, ये base cost के साथ compare की जाएगी at the time of sale, and base cost is 2,10,000. So, chargeable gain at that time would be 3,20,000, right? So, this is the chargeable gain on the sale of second asset. जब आप सेकेंड एसेट सेल करते हैं तो सेकेंड एसेट की सेल प्रोसीड को ओरिजिनल कॉस्ट से, सेकेंड एसेट की ओरिजिनल कॉस्ट से नहीं बल्कि बेस कॉस्ट से कंपेयर किया जाता है टू फाइंड आउट द चार्जेबल गेन. नाउ क्वेश्चन इज अबाउट पार्शियल री इन्वेस्टमेंट ऑफ प्रोसीड. वट एवर प्रोसीड वी हैव रिसीव्ड, इफ वी हैव नॉट री इन्वेस्टेड द होल अमाउंट ऑफ डिस्पोजल प्रोसीड फॉर द एक्विजिशन ऑफ न्यू एसेट, देन इन दैट केस of partial reinvestment, part of gain is chargeable at the time of disposal. Part of gain is chargeable at the time of disposal. But which part of gain? This is the gain that is chargeable as lower of the amount of proceed not reinvested. हमें एक चीज़ देखनी है, what is the amount that has not been reinvested, and compare it with the full gain. So, the amount of proceed not in reinvested is compared with the full gain, whichever is lower, in दोनों में से whichever is lower is said to be gain that is chargeable, right? So, with the help of example, but again we repeat the rule. In case of partial reinvestment, like I have sold an asset for 60,000, this is my sale proceed. Out of this, if I am reinvesting less than 60,000, like 55,000 मैंने reinvest कर दिए, so इस केस में हमें ये कंसिडर करना है कि this is the partial reinvestment. अब अगर ये partial reinvestment है तो here the point is that some gain, a part of gain is immediately chargeable. And which part of gain is immediately chargeable? It is the lower of these two values, the amount of proceed not reinvested and the full gain. तो हमें दो चीज़ों को कंपेयर करना है. We have to compare two things, full gain or the amount of proceed not reinvested. Whichever is less is said to be your gain immediately chargeable. Now consider with the help of example, Jack bought a warehouse in June 2005 and in December 22 he sold the warehouse for 7 lakh. द कॉस्ट ऑफ वेयर हाउस वॉज 6 लाख। तो अगर 6 लाख की वेयर हाउस को 7 लाख में सेल किया जाए तो गेन आ जाता है 1 लाख। इफ द कॉस्ट ऑफ 6 लाख ऑफ वेयर हाउस हैज़ बिन सोल्ड फॉर 7 lakh, the gain is 1 lakh. Jack moved into a rented warehouse until March 2023 when he purchased and moved into a new warehouse. So, they are requiring you to calculate the amount of gain which is chargeable if any of the sale of the original warehouse, if any on the sale of original warehouse, and calculate the base cost of new warehouse assuming the new warehouse was purchased for 6,80,000 or 5,25,000. So, first you need to consider the date of disposal is given to you as December 22. So, फिर qualifying period क्या होगा? Qualifying time period is December 21 से लेकर December 25. This is your qualifying period. So, have we purchased the new house, new warehouse between these dates? So, answer is yes. We have purchased that asset on March 2023. So, we have purchased in between these two dates, right? So, हमने December 21 से December 25 के दरमियान ही ये asset purchase किया. Now, we have to consider these amount, sale proceed, in case sale proceed is 6,80,000 and the original cost of asset is 6 lakh. Okay, not this is not the sale proceed. In fact, this is the amount reinvested. Sale proceed is 7 lakh. So, sale proceed is 7 lakh. Original cost is 6 lakh. So, full gain is 1 lakh, right? This is the full gain. Second thing we have to consider, what is the amount not reinvested? Amount not reinvested. So, if we have sold the asset for 7 lakh and reinvest 6,80,000, it means 20,000 of amount has not been reinvested. 20,000 of amount has not been reinvested. So, as per rule, as per calculation, we have to calculate the base cost, and for the calculation of base cost, we have to deduct the rollover relief, right. So, for rollover relief, we want to know what is the amount that is immediately chargeable, remaining gain is said to be rollover. जितनी भी अमाउंट आपकी इमीडिएटली चार्जेबल होगी है वो आपकी कंसिडर करनी है in order to find out the amount of rollover relief. So, amount not reinvested is 20,000. Now, which gain is immediately chargeable? Which gain is immediately chargeable? That is said to be whichever is lower of total gain. This is said to be full gain and amount not reinvested. So, out of these two amount, whichever is less, 20,000, this is said to be immediately chargeable. 20,000 is immediately chargeable and remaining qualified for rollover relief, and that is 80,000. So, first case में हमारे पास gain था total 1 lakh and we have to consider the full gain 1 lakh and the amount not reinvested 20,000. हमने कैसे कैलकुलेट की अमाउंट नॉट reinvested? हमने 7 लाख का एसेट सेल किया था और 6,80,000 का दूसरा एसेट परचेज किया, तो अमाउंट नॉट reinvested 20,000 है. सो विच एवर इज लोअर इज सेड टू बी योर चार्जेबल गेन एंड रिमेनिंग क्वालिफाई फॉर रोल ओवर रिलीफ. अब हमने न्यू एसेट परचेज किया है 6,80,000 का, या हम उसकी कैलकुलेट कर रहे हैं बेस कॉस्ट. न्यू एसेट base cost we are calculating. The acquisition cost is 6,80,000 less rollover relief, and that is 80,000. So, the base cost of new asset in the first instance is 6 lakh. first means first reinvestment जो 6,80,000 की है, in that case the base cost of new purchase asset less ROR, base cost is 6 lakh. In the second situation, we have reinvested 5,25,000. All the things remains the same, means 7 lakh the sale proceed, 6 lakh the original cost, and 1 lakh is the gain. The amount not reinvested is if we are selling for 7 lakh and reinvesting 5,25,000. If we are selling for 7 lakh and reinvesting 5,25,000, it means 1,75,000 is the amount that has not been reinvested. 1,75,000 is the amount that has not been reinvested. So we have to compare these two things, full gain and amount not reinvested, and whichever is less is immediately chargeable. So in this case 1 lakh is the amount that is immediately chargeable because it is the lowest amount. So there is no ROR available, and the new asset purchase price is 5,25,000, and it will not be reduced by any amount because there is no rollover relief. So the 5,25,000 is the amount that is said to be the base cost of second option, right? We have to consider what is the full gain. We have to consider the second amount, the amount that has not been reinvested. Full gain and amount that has not been reinvested. Now, in both of these figures, whichever is less is said to be immediately chargeable. Now, another question about rollover relief. What if old asset is not used entirely for business purpose? What if the old asset is not used entirely for business purpose? The answer is the rollover relief is scaled down. The rollover relief is scaled down. How? Consider an example. Fanny acquired a freehold commercial building in June 2004 for 50,000. He only used 70% of the freehold building for the purpose of trade. The building was sold in September 22 for 1,50,000. A replacement building was acquired in January 2022 for 1,80,000, and this was 100% used for trade purpose by Fanny. The replacement building was sold for 3 lakh in July 2023. Calculate the gain rollover and the chargeable gain arising on the disposal in September 2022 and July 2023. So first Fanny acquired the building for 50,000 and sold it for 1,50,000. So the total gain is 1 lakh. 1,50,000 is the sale proceed and 50,000 is the acquisition cost. So the total gain is 1 lakh, right? 1 lakh is the total gain. Now we have to consider the business proportion. The business proportion is given to you 70%. It means 70% of this 70% of this gain will qualify for ROR. So ROR is given as 70% of total gain 1 lakh, and remaining 30,000 is immediately chargeable. Now secondly, we have to consider the base cost of new asset. The new asset has been purchased for 1,80,000. New asset was purchased for 1,80,000, and the amount of rollover relief 70,000 will be deducted to calculate the base cost. New asset cost less rollover relief. This is the base cost of new asset. So base cost is 1,10,000. Later on, when this asset is sold for 3 lakh, then we have to compare this 3 lakh of sale proceed of second asset, replacement asset, with a base cost of replacement asset which is 1,10,000, and record the chargeable gain as 1,90,000. Again, first we have to compute the gain on the sale of first asset. This was 1 lakh. Then we have considered that 70% of this asset has been used for business purpose. So 70% of gain would qualify for ROR relief. So ROR relief is given on a 70,000 amount, 70% of 1 lakh gain. 30,000 is immediately chargeable at the time of first disposal. Then we have to consider what is the base cost of the new acquired asset, new replacement asset, that is 1,80,000, the acquired cost of replacement asset minus ROR 70,000 gives you a base cost of 1,10,000. And at later, when this asset was sold in July 23, this asset is sold in July 23, we have to compare the sale proceed of replacement asset, which is 3 lakh, with a base cost of 1,10,000 to find out the chargeable gain. Now, another important point of rollover relief, and that is said to be depreciating asset. Now, first to define what is meant by depreciating asset. An asset is a depreciating asset if it is or within next 10 years will become a wasting asset. Means an asset is a depreciating asset if it is a wasting asset or within next 10 year will become a wasting asset. या तो अभी से वेस्टिंग एसेट है, ये 10 साल के अंदर वेस्टिंग एसेट हो जाएगा. सो वी कैन से एनी एसेट विद एन एक्सपेक्टेड लाइफ ऑफ 60 years or less is a depreciating asset. Any asset with an expected life of 60 years or less is depreciating asset. Remember the main point, the plant and machinery is always a depreciating asset. So if new asset means replacement asset is a depreciating asset, gain deferred is not deducted from the cost of new asset. If the new asset that has been purchased is a depreciating asset, the gain deferred is not deducted from the cost of new asset. Means जो rollover relief है वो new asset की cost में से less नहीं किया जाता. The rollover relief is not deducted from the cost of new asset. Instead, it is postponed. It is postponed until the earliest of. 3 points we have to consider: until the earliest of disposal of new asset, date of new asset cease to be used in the trade, and 10 years after the new asset was acquired, whichever is earlier. तो हमें ये गेन को पोस्टपोन कर देना है. कब तक पोस्टपोन कर देना है? By which date we can postpone that gain? This date is the earliest of these 3 dates: disposal of new asset, second, date new asset ceased to be used in the trade, third, 10 years after the new asset was acquired. So these 3 dates should be considered, and whichever is earlier is said to be the date until which we can postpone the gain. So for example, Mart bought a freehold shop for use in her business in May 21 for 1,20,000. She sold it for 1,40,000 on 1st August 2022. On 10 July 2022, Mart bought some fixed plant and machinery to use in her business. So fixed plant and machinery are depreciating asset costing 1,50,000. She then sold the plant and machinery for 1,67,000 on 19th November 2024. Require show Mart's gain in relation to these transactions. So first we have to calculate the gain, that is the sale proceed of first asset is given to you as 1,40,000 and the cost is 1,20,000. So the gain is 1,40,000 is a sale proceed less cost 1,20,000. Gain is 20,000, right? So this 20,000 of gain is postponed, or we can say deferred. Nothing is chargeable at the time of first disposal. So by what date this can be deferred? So we have to consider 3 dates. Disposal of new asset. Disposal of new asset is on 19th November 2024. First date we have to consider 19th November 2024. This is the first date. Second, we have to consider date new asset ceased to be used in the trade. So, this is the same date on which we have ceased that asset to be used, that is 19 November 2024. Then third, we have to consider 10 years after the new asset was acquired. New asset was acquired on 10th July 2022. So, after 10-year period, this would be 10 July 2032. So, out of these three dates, whichever is earlier is said to be the date until which we can defer the gain. Out of these three dates, whichever is earlier is said to be a date until which we can defer the gain. So, this is 19th November 2024. At this date, we have sold that asset for 1,67,000 for 1,67,000. Its cost is given to you as 1,50,000, right? So, the gain to be computed to be chargeable is 17,000. 17,000 is the gain on the disposal of replacement asset. But remember, at that date when this 17,000 of gain become chargeable, the old gain of 20,000 is also chargeable on this date, because the old gain is postponed, just postponed. And till which date this has been postponed? Till the earliest of these three dates it has been postponed. So, now total 37,000 of your gain is chargeable at the date of 19th November 2024 when the second replacement asset has been sold, right? So, that is how in case of depreciating asset we do not have to consider the base cost of new asset. Instead, we have to consider that the gain is deferred, and it is deferred until the earliest of three dates, and these three dates are disposal of new asset, date when new asset ceased to be used in the trade, and 10 years after the new asset was acquired. So, whichever is earlier is the date until which we can defer the gain, right. Now, another question, Amir purchased a freehold factory in May 96 and in May 2010 he sold it for 3,50,000, realizing a capital gain of 1,50,000, right. So, this gain of 1,50,000 on the sale of freehold factory in May 2010 is to be postponed, right. Why it is to be postponed? Because in July 2012 Amir bought fixed plant and machinery for 4 lakh, which means he has purchased a depreciating asset. So, whatever gain is, it will be postponed. So, gain they have mentioned is 1,50,000, and it is deferred, and nothing is chargeable on the date when the asset was first sold on May 2010, right. Nothing is chargeable. Remember that the gain that is deferred is not reduced from the cost of replacement asset, right. The second asset is purchased on for 4 lakh, and it is then sold for 5 lakh. Now, you have to consider the date until which the gain can be deferred. If you are selling asset in May 2010, right, in May 2010, and reacquiring the asset in July 2012, right. So, now we have to consider that 3 dates until which we can defer the gain. So, this is in March 2014 24 Amir sold the fixed asset. So, first date to be considered is March 2024, the date of disposal of replacement asset. Second date is date when the asset is ceased to be used for trade. So, it is the same date, March 2024, right. And third date after the 10 year of acquisition of replacement asset, that is July 2022. So whichever is earlier is said to be the date on which gain become chargeable. So here this is the date of July 22. So on July 22, the gain of 1,50,000 become chargeable, and that is 1,50,000. And later on in March 2024, when we have sold the second replacement asset, the sale proceed of this is 5 lakh and the cost of purchase is given to you as allowable cost, and that is 4 lakh. So it is the gain of 1 lakh that is chargeable. Remember that after the sale of second replacement asset, we have not purchased any other asset. So this gain is immediately chargeable. So that is about the rollover relief, all points about the rollover relief with the help of example. Hopefully you will understand from this lecture. Give your feedback in this regard. Thank you.